A little longer. Oh, there we go.
Morning. It is March 23rd at 8:31 a.m. I'm Steve Ward, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm calling this Mayor-Manager meeting to order. Present with us today is Jade Trescott-Reed, Deputy City Clerk, Shawn Lewis, City Manager, and Tamara Niles, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We'll start with the March 28th meeting. We'll have a monthly financial report and then general fund balance operating reserve policy discussion. And then a little longer discussion on community safety and followed by a study session regarding Paid Family Leave Medical Insurance Act.
That'll be for April 4th.
I do think that the presentation on, I reviewed this yesterday, on community safety will probably be more like 30 minutes on the presentation.
Okay.
FYI.
Yeah, I think we should be prepared for a pretty robust discussion of both of those items, both the reserve policy and community safety. So I would not be surprised if that does take our entire evening for the study session.
Okay, you were cutting out a little bit at first. Could you repeat the first part of that?
Yeah, I apologize. I'll switch computers if I have to. But I would guess 45 minutes for discussion on each of those items rather than 30.
Gotcha. Okay, we'll update that. And then was there, that we have not slotted that in, but I don't think we've slotted in the, potential revenue discussion, but should probably do that today. If we can squeeze it in sometime. This is on the analysis of what, 1 penny on the sales tax or 1 mil on the property tax would generate for, kind of a working use was the street and alley, but that, having the public safety discussion, that could be another option for that as well. So maybe we can keep our eye open on a light study session later on in the agenda. Ready to move on to April 4th?
Yes.
All right, we've got Family Medical Leave Insurance Act. A discussion on that. Looks like we've got 30 minutes for that presentation. It must be pretty complex if it's 30-minute presentation. Jake, can you just double check that it's going to take 30 minutes for them to get through that material?
I can do it. It's a presentation from my office.
Oh, sorry. Victoria.
No, that's okay. But it's a new law regarding paid family leave, and the city council, if we are going to opt out, we need to by July 1. So that the presentation is to determine if we're going to opt out of it or not.
Yeah, for some reason I was thinking that would be HR doing that. So Mayor Pro Tem, what do you think on discussion on that one?
I don't anticipate a lengthy discussion on that. Maybe 15 minutes.
Okay. So 15. And then the next item is equipment purchase from Bird Camp for a pothole patch truck. And this is on to regular agenda. Vehicle purchase, 7 lease vehicles from Silter Motors. Resolution for the acquisition of property for the South Inglewood Flood Reduction Project. And that'll be 2 properties, so one right after the other. And then resolution approving walk and wheel plan update, which we had the public hearing on this week. And then a proclamation for Arbor Day and Earth Day. And then Jade, thank you for moving the strategic plan. That will be first up, it looks like, maybe. And then motion to approve professional services agreement with Root Policy Research in the amount of $160,000. And that is coming from planning. So I think that is the housing. Yep, housing assessment. Next is award of a contract to Summers Construction Inc. for alley stabilization and grading. And then approve an ordinance for PUD at 3600 South Galapago, CB20 equipment lease purchase through Komatsu, equipment lease purchase through Caterpillar for 2 backhoe loaders, and approval of IGA with City of Sheridan for vehicle maintenance repair. Approve a bill for an ordinance approving annual agreement with Arapahoe County to receive CDBG funds for energy efficiency Inglewood, E3. And consideration of a bill for an ordinance amending Inglewood Municipal Code to provide for a festival permit.
I see that's on for consent. I don't know if we want it to be consent because I have listed the proposed fees for that. And I don't know if city council wants to discuss it. It actually is less work for the city if it's City of Inglewood licensees participating in the festival. So we propose a lesser fee if it's just City of Inglewood licensees. Licensees from other cities, the city clerk has to contact each city where they're licensed, confirm their license is in good standing, and do some background, whereas we already have all that information for our licensees. So I don't know if council would want it on consent or not. Maybe they would and just accept our proposed fee structure.
Yeah, I actually had that flagged for not consent as well. Given that it's a new piece of legislation that we haven't had the opportunity to read yet, there may be some discussion.
Great. And then Jade, I think we've got all the other ones marked, correct?
We do.
All right. Any changes to those, Mayor Pro Tem?
The only one that I think we need to look at fairly closely is the strategic plan update. I think there may be some discussion on that. I would budget at least half an hour for discussion of the changes to the strategic plan.
Okay. And I did start yesterday collecting feedback. So far I've talked to Joe and Chelsea. Chelsea emailed me hers, and then I had a one-on-one schedule with Joe, and he gave me his 4 changes that he'd like to see. So yeah, we can absolutely plan for that to be a robust discussion. And then Jade, if you can let me know if you've got the updated PowerPoint on that. I have to admit I've never uploaded a PowerPoint. Tim usually does that.
Yeah, and I've never seen a PowerPoint for this item, but I'm happy to reach out to Tim and see if there is one.
Okay, well, he won't be back until next Monday, so I'll coordinate with you on that.
Sounds good.
Right, and then do we want to move on to the April 11th meeting? So we have pretty big update. Lots of interest in this from council members I'm talking to. This is Tribo will be there with SKP to present some updates on the redevelopment. And we've got time slots for that. Although you have a question mark after the 30-minute discussion time.
So with the follow-up from the department, I believe it was listed as a presentation for 60 minutes. So they said for sure it would take 30 minutes to go through their presentation, which is why we listed the 30 minutes as the guess for the discussion. But of course, it is always at the discretion of Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem and you guys.
Okay. Anything on that?
For an update, if it's for me, 30-minute discussion. We may have some questions, but there's probably not going to be a ton of actual strategic discussion during that particular meeting. So I'm comfortable with the timeframes presented.
Okay. And then next we have organized garbage and recycling collection initiative, going over the public feedback, taking any questions, comments, direction from council on that. And we didn't receive information. I think probably that's going to be maybe 20-minute presentation, Jade, if you can confirm that. And then discussion, Mayor Pro Tem, on this one.
At least 30 minutes, given the amount of public feedback that we received. Also, I just wanted to point to the request to have the single hauler trash committee board members present at this study session. I don't know if that's in the works or if it's even possible, but I think it's an important component of the discussion.
Yeah, we got that from you and then heard it from Jim also, so we will make sure they are invited.
And I actually think this discussion could go up to an hour depending on the proposals. One thing that I'd like to see in the presentation, we got a lot of public comment on Monday. I would anticipate that staff is prepared to respond to that, but I heard a lot of things that were actually not correct or that had already been addressed in the contract. So as clearly as we can emphasize those items, the better off we'll be.
Okay. That's good feedback. Just making a note, sorry. All right, next we have a presentation on city payment of city use tax. And this is a bit on hold. We will talk about this tomorrow during our, excuse me, today during leadership team meeting. This is the one that's paid by Inglewood and Littleton on our projects. Okay, next is the, we're still on the 11th, yep, April preliminary revenue, underlying forecast assumptions.
Sorry.
You're fine. And then the Santa Fe PEL, planning environmental linkages, review of recommendations and early action plan. Looks like we got time slots for both of those. Do we have the time slot for the use tax? I mean, just in case that does end up on, yeah, 10 and 10, that sounds right. Any questions on those, Mayor Pro Tem?
No.
Great. On the 18th, we have Elevate Inglewood graduation. Excuse me, consideration of Citizen of the Year is the study session discussion. Elevate Inglewood graduation during regular Small Business Week proclamation. And then motion consideration of organized garbage and recycling initiative. First reading of agreements necessary to complete city ditch relocation. Bill for an ordinance repealing this section of the medical marijuana license bond. Reflect elimination of bond under state law. Any questions on those?
On the single hauler initiative, I'm wondering if it would be appropriate to actually schedule this as an actual public hearing. It says public testimony may be taken. That's a motion.
It would be legally appropriate to schedule it for a public hearing.
That would be my suggestion, to just conduct an official public hearing on it.
Sorry, I just want to double check that we're in the time frame for posting for the public hearing and giving enough notice.
Okay, that makes sense.
So a public hearing isn't actually required. So it's not like we have to follow quasi judicial public hearing notice requirements because this is we don't have to do it.
Okay,
So my point is I think we're fine for April 18th.
Yeah, that makes sense, but good thought, Jane. So Steve, would you want to go ahead and do the public hearing followed by the potential action?
I would not suggest that unless there was a time requirement. I would defer the action till the following week.
Yeah, I think the bids are good through April. So if council did want to do something, I think that might be problematic. But I'll check with Maria. It could be that they're good through May, but I think it's April.
Okay, and this might be something we want to talk about next week when the mayor returns.
Okay.
Just I wanted to check in on that. We did receive a fair amount of public comment, and I anticipate additional public comment on the subject. So I want to make sure that we can honor that in an organized manner as much as possible.
Okay. All right, moving on down. So April 25th, we'll have an update on the neighborhood map project. The HPC has been working hard to accommodate the public feedback we've gotten, which was pretty extensive. And then we have a March 22 financial report, estimated assessment penalty, AP fee coming from finance. Review of preliminary capital projects with city council and boards and commissions. And that's it. On April 25th, any questions?
None for me.
Moving on to May 2nd, we have a Public Service Week proclamation, a utility sanitary sewer CCTV inspection contract. Code next up, excuse me, thank you, Jade. May 9th, if we're ready to move on with that, is code next update, followed by executive session, city attorney.
Which is slated for May 16th.
Thank you. We're flying through here. May 23rd is April 22 financial report. And then June 6th, Pride, Juneteenth, and then June 16th, Board and Commission interviews. And then it's like we're kind of down to the routine stuff. Is there a place, Mayor Pro Tem, that you'd like to slot in that revenue discussion? I think the analysis is probably within two or 3 weeks from being completed. Or do you want us to just find a spot that we?
Yeah, it should be before the capital improvements discussion, I think. But yeah, find a spot and we can talk about it next week.
Okay.
I know I keep saying that, but 2 hits is better than 1 in this case, I think.
That makes sense. But you did say before the capital projects discussion, right?
Yes, capital projects are a big impact on our budget,
I think it's
obviously.
good, yeah. Okay. We'll slot that in. All right, and then we did get 2 council requests. And Tamara, I was going to ask you, I know I saw you emailed, but I can't remember. Did you send yours to Krista already? The one I sent a copy of it yesterday, but your version was probably better.
About the enforcement mechanisms?
Yes.
I have not sent it to Krista, no.
Okay, no worries. I did fill out one for that. What enforcement measures are anticipated if single hauler is adopted and residents opt out of using a proposed single hauler provider in year 2 or after? And then from member Anderson, how many lane miles are traveled by trash trucks in the current system of trash collection versus going to a new system of single hauler? Mayor Pro Tem, did you get any others besides those?
I did not. I've not been doing a great job of tracking those, I confess. But those are the ones that I did hear.
Okay. Anybody, Jade or Tamara, did you hear anything else?
No, I did not.
I didn't.
All right. Anything else for us, Mayor Pro Tem?
That's all I have for today. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Adjourned.
All right, 8:50, not bad. Have a good day.
You too.